After our family reunion, I checked my bank account. It was completely drained. My brother-in-law smirked. "We deserved it more than you." I steadied myself, grabbed my bag, and said, "Then you won't like what comes next." They laughed, until a thunderous knock shook the door, and it swung open to reveal. You know that gut-wrenching dread, the one that clutches your stomach when your entire world just implodes? When the very people you loved and placed your deepest trust in haven't just betrayed you, but have mercilessly bled you dry. Picture this. You check your bank account after a warm family reunion, and it's a stark, horrifying void, utterly emptied. And then your brother-in-law, beer casually in hand, sneers, "Relax. We needed it more than you." What would you even do in that moment? Because that chilling scenario isn't hypothetical. It was my devastating reality. My thumb hovered, trembling, over the refresh button on my banking app. I tapped it 3 times already, but the digit displayed on the screen seemed to mock me with its cruel finality. $487. It couldn't be real. Just yesterday, a robust $14,000 had sat there. 14,000. A raw sound, half gasp, half question, tore from my throat. "You what?" From the couch, my sister Sarah let out a small, detached laugh. She looked utterly unbothered, legs elegantly curled, sipping wine as if this were just another inconsequential episode of family game night. "Oh, don't be so dramatic," she said, waving a dismissive hand. "It's not like we stole it. We're family. You drained my account." I choked out, the words struggling past the hot, tight lump in my throat. Seth, my brother-in-law, leaned casually against the fridge, that insufferable, smug half-grin permanently etched onto his face. "It's not draining if we're going to pay it back," he offered with a nonchalant shrug. Eventually, my mouth fell open, but no sound, no coherent thought managed to escape. My gaze darted to my mom, seated across the room, absorbed in her knitting. She didn't even bother to look up. "Mom," I pressed, my voice rising, desperation threading through it. "Did you know about this?" She sighed, a weary exhalation, as if I'd just accused her of ruining a holiday dinner. "Sweetheart, you're always so sensitive. You have a good job. No mortgage, no kids. You live alone. You're fine." "Fine?" My blood began to simmer, a slow, dangerous boil. So that, in her twisted logic, justified stealing from me? Dad, utterly engrossed in his phone, merely grumbled, "Language, Mason." A cold, hard fury began to solidify within me. I swung back to Sarah. "How did you even get access?" She didn't even flinch. "You left your info on the family computer," she replied, completely devoid of apology. "Maybe next time don't log in and walk away. Honestly, it's your own fault. My own fault." My fingers curled instinctively into tight fists, my breath catching shallowly in my chest. "You're making this a bigger deal than it needs to be," Seth interjected again, his voice grating. "It's not like we wasted it on nonsense. We paid rent, bought groceries, survived. You didn't ask." I snapped, the words raw. "We didn't think we had to," Sarah shot back, her voice rising slightly now. "You've been paying for stuff for years. What's the difference if it comes through you or from you?" I picked up my bag slowly, each movement deliberate, heavy with the weight of realization. No one moved to stop me. Not a single apology was offered. No one even looked surprised. "You're leaving already?" Mom asked, her eyes still fixed on her knitting. "Yep," I said, zipping my coat. "But don't worry, I'll be in touch." Sarah rolled her eyes, a gesture of profound annoyance. "Don't be like that. We needed it more than you. That's just facts." My hand, trembling faintly, reached for the doorknob. I paused, a single thought crystallizing into resolve. "Then you won't mind what's coming next." They laughed then, a dismissive, ugly sound that followed me out. But beyond that door, something fundamental had already shifted. As I marched toward my car, fists clenched, jaw locked tight against the scream building in my chest, I heard my cousin Jen's soft voice behind me. "Hey, are you okay?" she asked, her tone gentle, careful. I heard what Sarah said. That wasn't right. I didn't answer. If I spoke, I knew I'd shatter. The truth was, this wasn't an isolated incident. For years, I'd been the dependable one, The one with a stable job, the one who ostensibly didn't need help. And somehow, that had subtly transformed me into the family wallet. It began incrementally. Sarah would forget her phone bill. I'd cover it. Then Seth lost his job, and a little something was borrowed to get by. A birthday gift for their daughter. I often offered to pay. Except, increasingly, I didn't have to. They simply assumed I would. And every single time, they framed it as if I somehow owed it to them. "You're lucky, Mason." Mom would purr, her voice sweet yet laced with an underlying sharpness. "You don't have the struggles your sister does. God gave you ease so you could share it." Dad would chime in, more than once, with his weary pronouncements. "Family means supporting each other. You wouldn't be here if it weren't for us." Translation: we gave you life. Now hand over your paycheck. I never asked for anything in return. Not when I was laid off for 6 grueling months, subsisting on rice and eggs. Not when I skipped vacations for 3 consecutive years just to painstakingly rebuild my savings. Not even when I helped pay off Sarah and Seth's colossal credit card debt 2 years ago. They never repaid me. They never even mustered a thank you. Last week, Sarah had asked, "You still coming to the family reunion?" "Yeah," I'd replied. "Should I bring something?" Her answer had come quick, glib. "Just bring yourself and your card." I thought it was a joke. Now, I knew it wasn't. 2 days after the incident, Sarah called. I let go to voicemail. She called again, and again. Then Seth texted, "Just call her, man. She's freaking out." On the 5th attempt, I finally picked up. "Mason," she started, her voice low, shaky. "We have a problem." "Oh, we do," I replied, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. "Look, don't be like that," she continued, ignoring my tone. "Something happened. The power company came today. We're behind on the bill, like way behind, and they're threatening to shut it off if we don't pay by Monday. So," she paused, clearly struggling. "So, we need your help." I laughed, a short, bitter sound that held no humor. "You drained my savings, and now you're asking for more?" "It wasn't just for us," she snapped, her composure cracking. "We used some of it to help Mom and Dad, too. Dad's car broke down last month, remember?" I wasn't told. I stated, my voice even. "Because you always say no when it's not an emergency, Sarah." I added, each word cold and precise. "This isn't just messed up. It's criminal. You're being dramatic. It's family. You didn't ask me. We didn't think you'd mind. You've always helped. That's what you're for, right?" There was the brutal, unvarnished truth. That's what you're for. That night, sleep was an impossible luxury. I lay awake, every moment from the past 5 years replaying in agonizing detail. The favors, the small transfers, the way Mom always declared, "You're the strong one." The way Sarah's eyes would roll if I hesitated for even a fraction of a second. They never saw me as a brother, a son, a person with my own needs and boundaries. Just a resource. 3 days later, Mom called. "We need to talk." She didn't inquire about my well-being. She didn't ask about my job. She didn't even mention the missing money. "We're planning a family dinner, just us. Come over tonight." My stomach plummeted. "What's this really about?" I asked. "Mason," she said, her voice dropping to a low, accusatory tone. "You've caused a lot of tension." I caused tension. Still, I went. Part of me craved answers, a desperate hope for understanding. The other part just wanted to see if they'd even bother pretending to be sorry. They didn't. While I walked in, Sarah was already there, arms defiantly crossed. Seth lounged beside her, looking utterly bored. Mom was in the kitchen, clinking plates with unnecessary force. Dad flipped through the mail, an absurd pantomime of normalcy. "So," Sarah began, the moment I sat down, her tone aggressive, "are we going to act like adults, or what?" "Depends," I said, my voice dangerously calm, barely above a whisper. "Are you ready to confess to felony theft?" She scoffed. "God, you're so extra." "It wasn't theft. It was family money. You always help. We needed it." Seth nodded in agreement. "You can spare it. So why the drama?" "I didn't give permission," I stated flatly. "You didn't say no either," Sarah muttered. "Because I didn't know the details." I snapped, turning to Mom. "And you're just okay with this?" She looked away, her gaze avoiding mine. "We all agreed. You've always been the one who could handle it." No one even thought to ask. We trusted you. Dad chimed in, finally looking up. Trusted you to do what's right. I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. And what's right is letting you steal from me, while smiling to my face. Stop saying steal, Sarah shouted, leaping to her feet. It was for the family. Then you won't mind when the family deals with the consequences, I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. What does that mean? Seth narrowed his eyes, a flicker of genuine fear in them. I didn't answer. Not yet. You don't get to cry now. The next time I stepped inside their house, everyone was already assembled. Mom set the table, the clinking of plates unnervingly loud. Dad sat on the couch, aimlessly flipping channels, a hollow pretense of a normal Thursday night. Sarah stood by the window, arms folded, jaw clenched tight. Seth sprawled at the end of the table as if about to watch a game, not face the inevitable fallout of draining someone's life savings. Well, look who showed up, Sarah said dryly without turning. I dropped my bag near the door without a word. Let's just get this over with, I muttered. Good, Seth grinned, a false cheeriness in his voice. Maybe we can finally stop pretending you were robbed. I was robbed. I sat down, deliberately, heavily. That was the cue. Mom cleared her throat, a fragile sound. Mason, we know you're upset, but you have to understand. We were struggling. We didn't have any other options. Sarah and Seth, they were drowning. And you, Dad added, his voice tinged with manipulative softness. You've always been the stable one. We knew we could count on you. You didn't ask, I said, my voice like ice. You took. That's not family. That's theft. Sarah rolled her eyes, her disdain palpable. You're being so dramatic. We didn't spend it on crap. We used it where it mattered. No. I reached into my bag, pulled out a printed spreadsheet, and slammed it onto the table. $1, $172 on makeup, $900 on takeout, $2,300 to pay off your car loan. Seth leaned forward, his face darkening with dawning horror. You went through our accounts? Oh, I did more than that. I opened my laptop. The screen glowed with a neat, color-coded breakdown. Every charge, every transfer, meticulously traceable. I compiled every transaction. I filed a fraud report. And guess what? They got back to me. Sarah's eyes widened, a dawning terror in them. You didn't. I did. You call the police? She shrieked, her voice cracking. I turned to Mom. Still think this is just family business? This is insane. Dad snapped, finally showing genuine alarm. You want to put your own sister in jail? You, I said, pointing directly at Sarah. You put yourself there. Then came the knock. 3 hard, heavy pounds against the front door. Sarah went utterly pale. Seth shot up, too fast, nearly overturning his chair. Mom gasped, backing away slowly. Dad froze, phone still in hand. Open up, a voice boomed from outside. Financial Crimes Unit. Knock, knock, knock. Seth turned to me, his voice a low, desperate plea. Mason, tell me you're not serious. I opened the door. 3 agents stepped in, their jackets emblazoned with official lettering. One held a clipboard, the second a tablet. The third surveyed the room with calm authority. You Mason Carver? The lead agent asked. Yes. Thank you for your cooperation. We'll take it from here. Mom covered her mouth, a stifled sob escaping. Sarah dropped into a chair, her legs seeming to give out. Seth stood dumbstruck, eyes wide. One of the agents turned toward them. You're listed as parties of interest in an open case of financial fraud and identity theft. Identity theft. Mom cried, her voice cracking. He's our son. The agent didn't blink. Family ties don't make illegal activity legal, ma'am. We didn't steal anything. Sarah wailed. We had a right. He always helped us. He always. Thinking you're entitled to someone's money doesn't make it yours. Another agent interjected calmly. Remain seated, please. I just stood back and watched. For the first time in my life, it didn't talk over me, didn't mock me, didn't laugh. Mom turned to me, her voice shaking, eyes already brimming with tears. Mason, please. We didn't mean to hurt you. We were just desperate. You've always been a strong one. You're the only one we could count on. I looked her dead in the eyes, my voice steady. You don't get to cry now. She covered her mouth and sobbed, a guttural sound of pure anguish. Sarah tried to speak, but no words came. Seth looked ready to bolt, but sank back into his seat under the agent's unwavering stare. "You want to talk about what family is?" I said, stepping forward, my voice resonating with a new, quiet power. "It's trust. It's respect. It's asking, not assuming, not stealing, not laughing while you bleed me dry." They said nothing. I grabbed my bag from the floor and turned to the lead agent. "I'll be outside." And this time, they didn't stop me. "You're free now, Mason. Don't go back." I left the house in silence. No one chased me. No one called my name. For once, there was no guilt, no drama, no Sarah shrieking after me with her usual, "How could you?" Just the cold night air and the crunch of tires behind me as the investigators escorted them out one by one. I didn't stay to watch. That night, I drove without a destination, past closed coffee shops and glowing gas stations, my phone buzzing nonstop in the passenger seat. I didn't answer a single call. I didn't want to hear apologies shaped like excuses. By midnight, I ended up parked outside the only place that had ever felt like a safe harbor, my grandmother's old house. She passed a few years ago, but I still had the key. She used to say, "If they ever turn on you, Mason, you come here. The door will always open for you." And that night it did. I slept for 11 hours straight. No texts, no gnawing guilt, no tension pressing down on my chest like it always did when I stayed near my family. When I woke, I made coffee in a chipped mug and stood at the window, watching the sun crawl over the fence she used to garden behind. For the first time in years, I felt like I could truly breathe. But the silence didn't last. The first email arrived that afternoon from Dad. "This has gone too far. You've humiliated the entire family. What happened to loyalty?" I didn't reply. Then Sarah texted, "I hope you're happy. They're freezing my accounts. Seth's being investigated at work. You ruined our lives over a couple of payments." A couple? Try tens of thousands of dollars. Try 5 years of silent sacrifice. Then came Mom's voicemail. Her voice was soft, cracking with what she hoped sounded like despair. "You didn't have to do it this way. We could have handled it like a family, Mason. Sweetheart, please. They're threatening charges. They said we might lose the house." I replayed that line in my head. They might lose the house. And suddenly, I wasn't angry. I wasn't vindictive. I just didn't care. Because I'd already lost a home years ago, the moment they decided I was worth more as a bank account than a son. 2 days passed. Then a message popped up from someone I didn't expect, Seth's brother. We weren't close, maybe exchanging 5 words at birthdays, but his text was simple. "Just so you know, Sarah is trying to shift blame on you. Says you knew and approved the money transfers. There's a lawyer involved. Watch your back." I almost laughed. Even now, even with everything crumbling, she was still trying to spin it. That night, I called my lawyer. "Send everything," I said. "We're not just pressing charges. I want a restraining order, too." But not every message was hostile. A week later, I received a short email from Kelly, Seth's sister. "I know we haven't spoken in years, but I just wanted to say you were right about all of it, about how they treat you, about how toxic it's gotten. I used to think you were just cold. Now, I think you were brave." I stared at her message for a long time. Brave. No one in my family had ever used that word on me. One morning, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost declined it, but something instinctual told me to pick up. "Mason." The voice was small, hoarse. "It's Sarah." I didn't say anything. She kept talking, rambling now. "Look, I know I messed up. Okay. I went too far. I didn't think it would go like this. Seth's been suspended. Mom won't stop crying. Dad won't even speak to me. And you." She hesitated, a rare moment of self-reflection. "You always had the power to ruin everything, and you finally did." I didn't speak for a moment. Then I said flatly, "I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped letting you walk all over me." Silence. Then a desperate plea. "Can you just stop it now? Drop the charges, please. I'll do anything. Just make it stop." I almost felt something. Almost. But then I remembered what she'd said the night of the reunion. "We needed it more than you." I smiled bitterly. "No," I said. "You made this mess. You live in it." And I hung up. That night, I cooked myself dinner in profound peace. I played my favorite album from college, then sat on the porch with a mug of coffee, watching the world go by. And for the first time since I was a teenager, No one asked me for money. No one guilt-tripped me. No one made me feel like I was only valuable if I was giving something. I wasn't their wallet anymore. I was just me, and that was enough. I'm not your bank. I'm not your backup plan. I'm done. It's strange how quiet peace is. No one tells you that. You imagine it'll feel like fireworks or loud music or some grand celebration. But for me, peace sounded like no one asking me for money, no one calling me selfish, no one sending long texts starting with, since you're the only one doing well. Just silence. Glorious, uninterrupted silence. 3 months have passed since the night I blew everything up. 3 months since the investigation started. Since my family stared at me in shock as agents walked through their front door and reality finally punched through years of their convenient delusion. They say you can't choose your family. Maybe that's true, but you can choose how much of yourself you're willing to lose, trying to keep them happy. And I was done losing. The fallout came fast. Sarah and Seth attempted damage control first. A lawyer emailed my attorney, offering to privately resolve the situation. No apology, no ownership, just damage control. I told my lawyer, let it burn. A week later, Mom sent a letter. 10 pages, her handwriting still neat, but trembling in parts. She wrote about how things got out of hand, how they never meant to hurt me, how she hoped I could see the bigger picture. We just assumed you'd always be there, she wrote. That's what good sons do. That line stuck with me because it said everything. Not, we were wrong. Not, you didn't deserve that. Just, you were supposed to stay quiet and keep giving. I didn't write back. I didn't call. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty about it. I moved. New apartment, new state. No more accidental drop-ins from relatives. No more surprise visits from Sarah. I even changed my number. My boss, noticing how focused I'd become, offered me a promotion. I took it. It's funny how much better you perform at work when you're not secretly juggling your sister's car payments and your mom's overdue utility bills behind the scenes. I sleep better now. I eat better. I breathe better because I'm no longer carrying 4 people on my back who refuse to say thank you. Then one morning, a letter showed up. No return address. Inside, a check for $1,200 and a handwritten note. I left him. You were right. I was scared, but watching what you did, it gave me the courage to walk away, too. This is for everything you paid for Ellie, for the tablet, the rent, the clothes. I know Seth never thanked you, but I am. Thank you for being the example I needed. Kelly, I read it twice. Then I cried. Not out of sadness, not out of pain, but because for the first time, someone in that family saw me. Not as a wallet, not as a scapegoat, but as a person. People ask me sometimes, do you regret it? And the answer is simple. No, I regret waiting so long. I regret every sleepless night, every canceled vacation, every tight budget I lived under while they dined out, shopped, and posted about grateful family vibes on Instagram. I regret the way I made myself small so they could feel big. I regret all the times I stayed silent when I should have said, you're crossing a line. But do I regret standing up, burning it down? Never. My therapist once asked me, why did it take you so long to say no? And I said, because I thought that saying no meant I didn't love them. She nodded and said, saying no is how you teach people to love you back. I've never forgotten that. A few days ago, I ran into someone from high school. She said, hey, I saw what happened with your family. That's wild. I expected judgment or pity, but instead, she smiled and added, good for you. Most people never get out. I thanked her. Then I walked away feeling a little taller. Sarah and Seth are still under investigation. Last I heard, Seth lost his job. Sarah's bank account was frozen. Mom's trying to refinance the house. And Dad's apparently blaming outside influence for tearing the family apart. They still don't get it. I didn't tear anything apart. I just stopped pretending the pieces were still whole. Sometimes I get flashbacks. That night, the table. Sarah laughing as I checked my account. Seth grinning like it was all a joke. Mom brushing it off. You don't need that money, she'd said. And now they know the truth. That money wasn't just money. It was my life, my time, my health, my boundaries. And they crossed them for years like it meant nothing. Now they pay the price. I don't celebrate their downfall, but I celebrate myself for surviving it, for walking away, for not going back. Even when the silence felt lonely. Even when the guilt whispered in my ear like it used to. Because that silence, it's freedom. So, if you're reading this and you've been the strong one, the responsible one, the good son or good daughter who's expected to pay and never say a word, let me tell you what I wish someone told me. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to walk away. And when you do, you don't lose a family. You find yourself. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever faced something like this with your own family? Tell me what you think in the comments below.